Okay, so we're gonna try this again. The first one was not short enough for me, so I'm doing this again, okay? Alright, so let's get it started. Alright, so 3 minutes per each one is what the individual goal is. Let's see if we can hit it. So first thing is going to be talking about ownership, direction, and feedback. Alright, so I think that Popo, as a leader for this wipe, was very good at the ownership, direction, and feedback level. I think that there was kind of an open channel between him. You could talk to him about things. You could, share your thoughts, and you might get his thoughts. And it was never really it's a my way or the highway, go fuck off type thing that a lot of owners do. Like, you see a lot of owners and like coders and things of that nature, like they have like a massive ego. And so it'll be like just, fuck off, I don't care what you think, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff or whatever. And it's really bad for player retention and player morale whenever you engage in with those. I mean, it's just bad over time. Like, I know I played DBG, and one day the owner, Lyons, he just came in and it was like, alright, I'm going to make this into Sims now, or whatever, Farmville or something like that. And so you had to kill cows every reboot, you had to purify water, you had to, like, make a water purifier, you had to make a refrigerator, it was a whole thing. And so the game lost its feeling from, like, training, and role-playing and doing really cool things, and to fucking, now I've got to sit here and waste a good portion of my time trying to make food so that I can, live. Like, I get the immersive aspect of it, but for the difficulty level of how it was, it just discouraged playing because it just made playing feel like a chore. And that's really, really bad. Another thing that kind of like kind of goes into that would be certain feelings of loss, which we'll get to in a second. But basically, overall, I think, like I said, Popo was pretty open, and pretty willing to budge on a lot of things. I think some things were maybe more of kind of a social experiment slash a little bit of like pride towards like roleplay power and letting like see people bitch about it all the time in terms of it kind of controlling narrative. And so then we'll just go right without it, and seeing that eventually people would just bitch because they would realize that even without roleplay power, one side might get over the other. And so it's kind of like you complain about something because you feel like it's affecting you worse negatively, and then when it's gone, you're like, oh my god, this isn't fair anymore, I need it back on my side. Like, it's just a very, it leads into main character center. But anyway, alright, so problems. Feelings of loss, right? So there's a couple ways to go over feelings of loss that happen this way. Number one is the good people, they really kind of felt like they were not winning a lot. And so as a result of that, it caused them to feel like they were just losing all the time. And when people feel like they're losing all the time, it can come to a point where you feel like you're just not getting rewarded for your efforts. And so you just kind of like stop trying, or you just lose commitment or whatever. And that's what a lot of people went through, as feelings of loss, okay? The next thing, feelings of loss, is going to be basically where you feel like you've lost your time commitment, okay? So, or feeling of missing out, essentially, right? So here's the issue, okay? When we played this game when we were younger, we had all the free time in the world, and so we didn't really understand the concept behind, somebody logged out for like 2 days because they had to go to the hospital or something, and now they're back. No one really thought about that on a deep level, and most people had school and things of that nature, so it was like, okay, nobody's on it this time. Everybody all logs on the same time. Everybody's training. It is what it is. Now that we're older, there's this feeling of if it gets to a point where if I'm not logged in all the time and somebody else is just gonna greatly go past me, what's the point? And that's that feeling of like kind of missing out and loss that thankfully BP caps kind of changed by making it so that, okay, there's a resting spot. Okay, I can be comfortable here, and yes, somebody can go slightly beyond me, but as soon as the caps raise anyway, we'll be kind of back neck and neck again anyway. So they might get that little boost for the extra time they put in, that's fine. But like, I can always be relevant if I sit down and just put down a little bit of time, every now and then or whatever, which is totally fine. Not having BP caps is really bad. It will contribute to a big morale loss, a big feeling of missed out, and a lot of people basically, essentially, check out. Because they're like, alright, well, fuck it, I'm never going to catch up. This guy's way too far ahead of me. I didn't play for like a whole week. Fuck it, what do I care? I'm out. And I think BP kind of ranks kind of maybe helped that a little bit, but I don't even think we have those or can't see those anymore. So because you can't see those, now you really just kind of feel lost. And it's just not good. It's just not good. Not good at all. Alright, so onto that one, we'll transition to main character syndrome. A lot of people in this game have main character syndrome. It is really bad. You see this also in other games like League and shit like that. But basically, people feel like they got to be the one. And if they're not the one, then they lose the ability to care. They just stop caring. They feel like they're just not going to get what they want, blah, 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 all this good stuff. Alright, so there's 10 buffs in the game, right? And we'll say that those buffs can be given out 2 times. That's about a 20% chance of getting, like, 1 buff. And we have 100 people. That's about 20% chance of getting 1 buff, basically. So, if you don't get a buff, statistically, that's okay. That's not a big deal. You're with 80 other people, almost, who don't have a buff. There might be 2 people who are, like, buffed up, and you might be one of them who's not. Okay, you still got, like, 79... 60 to 80 other people who, you know, are in the same spot as you, bro. It's gonna be okay. And I think people who have this main character syndrome are really bad, because they're very invested in the game until they're not. And so they're very wishy-washy. It's like, oh, okay, I want to play, okay, I didn't get the thing I wanted, alright, I quit. And I think they another thing they do is they tend to kind of press their thoughts on this towards other people, and kind of press around the disease of, like, I would say their lack of interest, which is really bad. I think being able to, I'll be honest, I think that moving forward, a lot of Discord should really crack down people who spread their disinterest. I think if you want to talk about your disinterest or how much you dislike the wipe, you should have, like, there should be a channel called Rants, and it's, you just post what the fuck you want to post about not being interested, and admins can see it, and maybe talk to you about it, but other than that, other players can't see it. And only you can see what you post in that channel and just call it a day. Because it's not good when people can talk about that openly. It's just not. It causes a lot of, it's not good. We will have to move past this main character syndrome shit, though. It's okay that you're not at the front of the photo. It's okay that you're not in every screenshot. It's okay that you might not even be in a single screenshot. It's okay you might not even be in a single story. It sucks, but it's okay. Because statistically, you just may not be that person. And that's okay, you can find your way to impact other way. Instead of having the I must be this person, have the I'm him, I'm her mindset. Okay, maybe I'm not doing things directly, but I'm doing the best I can in terms of my character. I'm presenting their story the best way I can, I'm role-playing them the best I can, and that impact of my character's overall personality, ability, the way I portray them, is strong enough that it's going to impact somebody, even if it's not in a main direct storyline way. I'll give a shout out to this guy named, who was role-playing this character named Ice. I don't think they did anything ever relevant whatsoever, but whenever I saw their character roleplay, it was on point, it was constantly informed, it was quite impressive, even though they weren't really doing anything impressive story-wise, and you could tell they cared about how they portrayed their character. That's more of what I want to see. That's how you become a main character to somebody else. You don't have to be the main character of the story. You can be a main character to somebody else on their roster of, oh my god, this is somebody I want to talk to. Oh my god, this is somebody I want to interact with. Oh my god, this is somebody whose character's impacted me in such a way that when I'm moving forward in future wipes, I want to take what I learned from them, I want to take their impression I got from them, and I want to show that passion in my own play. That's the level you've got to go for. Not the I need to be the one pressing kill on the boss, alright? Or I don't need to be the one in the hyperbolic time chamber every time, or I don't need to be the one getting Super Saiyan every time, or I don't need to be the one getting the super form first, or I don't need to be the one creating crazy shit or whatever. This is the level you want to get to, okay? The next thing I want to talk to is user engagement, right? So what would I grade on a wipe for user engagement, right? For this one, I think that there were a lot of meaningful choices, and honestly, one of the main reasons I played this wipe is because when I first came to it, I saw that Popo had an entire massive narrate from top to bottom of an entire story that he had built, that had been built by the players and him, basically, I guess you can say, from top to bottom, and it just seemed like it was so thorough, so rich, so encouraging, so amazing. If you are, heads up, if you are a person, an owner, whatever, of any, I've seen owners and other wipes do this shit all the time. If all you can do is press screenshot and post screenshots of stories and not include anything behind it, no IC, no narrate, no backstory, no word, no nothing, all you're gonna do is mess up your player retention by causing people to feel like they're constantly missing out and make people feel like they're detached from the actual story. And so they're just gonna, all you're doing is basically having a trailer in a movie where you just show a bunch of images. Okay, no one gives a shit about that. The words usually are what connect people. The words and the images, the story that it brings to it. Just an image, a single image is not going to do shit for somebody, for player. It's going to make people actually not want to play at all. Because they'll be like, oh my god, I missed all these cool events. I don't even know what they're about, but I'm probably never going to get involved with them because I have no idea the context behind them. It could have been just a one-off thing. Who knows? I don't even know what it's about. Ugh, this sucks. If you do that, you're bad. Okay? Don't do that as owners. Don't do that. And I commend Popo for that. He did that sometimes, but a lot more of that was that branching into an overall IC narrative post, which is really, really good. I think there's been a lot of meaningful choices. We've had points like we've had villains kill villains. That's crazy. Wishes were not super hard gated. Power gaming wishes, people, you know who you are, who went for them, a little bit different, okay? But when I'm talking about, like, you could actually wish for unique things, that's really cool. Like, wishing for, I mean, I don't know if this was a Popo thing or not, but being able to wish for a planet not to be able to be visited by certain evils, very interesting. I like that. I really like that. I like the fact that Cell was able to blow up the planet like that. But there was, like, meaningful, and it was, and oh my god, the way it was done. I'm blowing up the planet in 2 minutes. You have a 2-minute countdown. If you can KO me for 2 minutes, planet's gonna blow it up. If the players would have done that, that would have been it. But the players weren't able to do it, so obviously the planet got blown up. But I find that to be so cool, to just not have a direct narrative and say, here's your coin, or here's your option, you got 2 crossroads, pick one. It makes the story more invested. It makes it more interesting, meaningful. If all you can do as we'll get to that in storytelling, okay? Like I said, I really, really like that, and I commend Popo for how he's done this. I think this is the best wipe that's done it ever. Also, I'll go into super forms real fast. Super forms. I like how super forms were done this wipe. I like that they were not gated behind, you must fight this boss at this time in order for the first super form of this character to be opened. I also really like how Global Super Saiyan was not instant, and instead it was, the requirements became very, very low, but you still had to roleplay for it. That causes character progression. That causes character development and things of that nature. That's so fucking good. And again, I'll get to that in storytelling. But anyway, Branching Pass, I kind of went over this already, but basically for Branching Pass, it's basically the same thing. It's essentially just saying that in Branching Pass, you can do different things and different choices. Like maybe you decide you don't want to kill the boss. Maybe you decide you want to spare the boss. Maybe you decide, another thing is, killing villains. It seems like when you kill villains in this game, they went to the afterlife. They didn't just like get deleted. So it's like, oh my god, they interact with people in the afterlife and they do this and that. Maybe they can come back as a different villain. Maybe they can interact in different ways in the afterlife. Maybe they can kill people in the afterlife. Who fucking knows? But I like that there's just all these different branches that happen as a result of people's actions. Oh my god, this character was being built up to be like some crazy hero, and then they went and died, or then they quit. Okay, the story branches in a whole different direction. It's very unique and very interesting. I like it. Alright, so, storytelling and immersion. Alright? The story has been crafted very well by Popo, in my opinion. Overall, I think it's been a very good story. If you're the kind of owner, if you're the kind of person who runs wipes, because I've seen these happen in the past, that all you can do to tell a good story is make an EC that does something, and then the EC kind of carries the story, or make an EC that tells somebody to do something, and then the EC gives them power to do something. That's not meaningful. That's just an EC, man. Like, yes, you're telling a story, but you're not telling a meaningful story. Because it's not earned. It's just given to you. It's in the moment, it's a great dopamine rush of, oh my god, I did this thing, I was that person. But then after that, it's like, you go back to normal, because nothing was gained. You didn't do anything. Your effort, all of your effort meant absolutely shit, because at the end of the day, somebody just handed it to you. Somebody just gave you the free win. Okay? What did you learn from a free win? I got a free win. You didn't do anything at all. Which is why also I kind of like the way that Popo kind of tried to give the good aside. I don't think they realized how to use it effectively, which is kind of bad. I mean, I'm just going to say it now because I don't care anymore. But for the fusion thing, you probably should have fused on the first turn, gone for lethal, used your build and focused on breaking as many limbs as possible, or bones, so that maybe when you go into the second round, the enemy villain you fight is overall totally weaker, and then you can win once you separate from the fusion. Probably what would be the play with fusion. As far as training HBTC is, probably should just do that as soon as the cats raise, and call it a good day. And then try to go hunt down your villain, or start something where like maybe you know where the villain is, maybe lure them to a place, and lure to a place that is in line with whatever you get out of the HP. It's just unique things that you could have done. People didn't really do. Whatever, it is what it is. I'm not even sure. I think if you break a bone in a fight, it carries on to the second round. Maybe it doesn't. If I'm wrong, then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's why people didn't do that. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% versed on the rules or whatever. So yeah, but as far as narrative goes, like I said, users' choices, I think they really mattered. I think the biggest issue is the rares, the way that rares are done in this game. Alright, so here's what I think it is. I think the way rares were crafted is they were crafted to be given to really good role players who have a high respect for the role play, are very humble, okay, and treat them like sort of pseudo ECs that create roleplay. What's happened in these games, and it's still happening, is these rares will go to people who are egotistical fucks who they care about roleplay, but they care about their ego a lot, and they have massive main character syndrome. And so all they care about is kind of winning. They don't really care about how that affects people. They don't care about how they win. As long as their VP is greater and they win, that's all that matters. Get good, scrub. And so I think in these wipes they've been given to those people consistently. I can name a couple times they haven't. I think Hera did a really good job with how she used hers. And then I think the Bio did a really good job with how he used his. I think that's about it. I think that's all I got. But anyway, I think everything else is just maybe the Majin too. I think the Majin's been pretty good. I think that's the direction you want to go in terms of putting humble characters who just want to tell people who want to tell stories on characters and not just go around murder hoboing shit or just being top of the food chain and just being basically a general asshole. All right. That being said, they still do a decent job of playing villains even when you give an asshole a villain. So the counteract to that is I think that maybe there needs to be some sort of rare for good people that also has a respect towards roleplay and isn't just going to go kill all the villains instantly and do all this and that. But at the same time, I think that this rare needs to be somebody, these rares need to be humble people as well. So maybe Earth Guardian, get a humble player, can maybe go for that. Maybe like a Namekian Elder or something, humble player. These kind of like people who can match this kind of rareness or whatever, but still be humble in how they enact it. And then, okay, so I think I have one more last point, which is going to be the Super Saiyan thing. Like I said, I like how transformations were handled. I think they were really handled really, really, really well. I think Future Wipe should do away with global Super Saiyan and global all that shit. I think you should just lower the requirements down and make people roleplay for it. That's it. And like, I think like you shouldn't do it to where like I have to punch somebody for 20 seconds while AFK and then come back and it says you've unlocked Super Saiyan. Like that's kind of so dreary. Like, dude, come on. Instead, it should be something like I roleplayed with my dad, or I roleplayed with somebody who I knew or whatever who had Super Saiyan. They trained me. We did a couple roleplays back and forth. We sent it to an admin. Admin unlocks it. There you go. You've got Super Saiyan. And then you've got character development at the same time. Instead of just, we punch each other for 20 seconds with gloves on. Cool. Like, I mean, it's different. It's unique. It creates story. It creates atmosphere. I like it. It makes people more attached to their characters. Like I said, when you earn something, it makes you more attached to it. If you are just given it as a freebie, you become disinterested because it doesn't have the same weight and value of it. Also, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4, I think I would like to see more of that kind of thing done for the other forms in the game, where you kind of have the set requirements of what it takes to get whenever that timeline comes, so people know what they're working with. I think I like that a lot more than just kind of the arbitrary ask an admin for it and pray to God the admin likes you. I like the requirements being kind of set or being kind of understood. So overall, I think Popo's Wipe, I'm going to give it a B+. I would give it an A- probably also, but B+ at the worst. I think this is the best Dragon Ball Z wipe I've ever played. I like that the direction he went in it, and I think I would like to see more wipes going. I hope he leads the next wipe. I hope he leads a lot of future wipes. I think he should get some help, some people who actually admin and answer admin helps and things of that nature, and it not just be him. I'm not going to say any names, but I think that it's mostly been Popo for a while. little weird, not sure why, but anyway, I like the lack of ego too. But I think that there does need to be some behind-the-scenes work done on how to kind of maybe balance the good versus evil thing a little bit more. Because you tell people we're getting a little demoralized by it, and that sucks. But yeah, overall, I think that this is how you do a wipe, and I am very I would say that I honestly, one of the only things I'm kind of sad about is the direction of where things are now. I feel like maybe it's too late to salvage things, and I think it kind of suffers from the, oh, we got a new director, and it kind of like they went a different direction of their vision, and I don't know if Popo can bring it back. Maybe he can if he comes back on Monday, Tuesday. I don't know. But there's a lot of also talk of the wipe ending really soon, so that's also demoralizing. So it's like, when you tell people the wipe's ending soon, it makes people think, alright, why am I fucking playing? Well, why am I fucking playing? When people thought, oh, maybe we might have, a good 2 weeks, maybe even longer if the story's good, that's great. But the way that things are being carried now, with like BP caps and other stuff, it just feels like, why am I playing, dude? If you're telling me the wipe's ending and this is why we're doing all this crazy stuff, and whatever, why am I playing? I don't know. I hope that if the wipe ends poorly and we really don't get the ending that we were hoping for with a really good God Key era, that Popo gets more direction in the next wipe. And if he's the one telling the main story, and he's not there for a weekend, or he's not there for a week, hey, filler arc, or either just shut the game down. Call it a good day. Everybody, you got a break for 1 week, we'll see you back in a week. Come back refreshed, because switching directors, I don't think is a thing. I don't think you should do it. I don't think in any future wipe, anybody should ever be like, alright, I'm gone for a week, here's the story, tell it how you want to tell it, but I don't think it's good. I think it's very, very bad. Okay, so that's the end of this video. 21 minutes, not bad. Goodbye.